This carbon fiber folding electric bike claims it weighs in at 36 pounds. So one hand, beast mode, how about that? It's pretty freaking light for an e-bike. It's got a top speed of 20 miles an hour. So we are hitting 20. And one unique thing about this e-bike is this one actually has rear suspension and not front suspension. I don't think I've ever seen one like that before. I think it actually makes a lot of sense. MSRP is $2,399 on sale for $1,599 in the link below this video. It's called the Tezeus Swift, and today I'm going to show you all around it. We're going to take it outside, see how fast it goes, see how fast it accelerates, see if it can climb hills, and see what kind of range we get out of this thing. So check it out. The frame is carbon fiber, and it also has a carbon fiber fork. No suspension on that, but carbon fiber does have shock absorbing properties, and obviously carbon fiber is lightweight. So no suspension on the front, but we do have an air shock on the rear, which is arguably more important because that's where your weight sits. I don't think I've ever tried an e-bike with suspension on the rear and not on the front. I'm excited to try it. And the suspension is a D&M shock. It actually has this chamber here so you can adjust the air pressure in it. Wonder how much PSI is in that. We'll check it in a few. And as you might have noticed, the seat post on this is a little bit different than usual. It's extra wide because it is actually the battery. And it also has this little locking mechanism. So it comes with a set of keys and you can basically secure your seat posts on here. Make sure somebody doesn't steal it. So you can see this just locks in there and you turn the key. Oh, that didn't work. But you push it down there. That's how you do it. And then to unlock it, that's when you need the key. All right, cool. So as you can see, quite a lot of adjust. Wow, that is a long seat post. So if you put it all the way down, there is a point that is kind of like the minimum, so it won't go down and hit the ground. That's the minimum. And you do have to plug it in, but before we do that, let's weigh this battery. So we're just gonna include the seat post and just kind of balance this whole thing on there. Dude, it like doesn't even register. Clocks in at just 4.8 pounds for the battery and the seat. Battery is listed as a 36 volt, 7 amp hour battery pack with 252 watt hours of energy. So let's weigh the bike. I'm just gonna subtract my weight while I hold it. 191.4 will be the number we subtract. Actually, I'm just gonna weigh the whole thing with the seat on there. So picking the whole bike up with the seat on it. Scale says 229, subtract my weight of 191.4. 37.6. So according to my scale, it says 37.6 pounds. That does include stuff like the fenders and some reflectors and a bell. And around back, we have a geared hub motor. It is 36 volts. They say 250 watts of power and 30 Newton meters of torque. So compared to most of the e-bikes on this channel, that's not that much power, which is gonna make these gears a lot more useful. So we do have 7 speeds on a Shimano cassette. There is a tourney derailleur and actually a pretty large chain ring on front. Pedals are plastic and foldable, which folding them actually does help them get out of the way a bit. Tires are 20 inches tall, which makes the whole bike kind of lower to the ground. We got a street tread pattern. They are spoke wheels, and here's how it attaches onto the fork with a bolt. Got a light on front that turns with the wheel, and the hydraulic brake line is actually tucked in to the fork for a clean appearance. Same goes with the cabling on the rear and the cabling into the stem. So this thing's got a lot more of a sleek appearance than we see on a lot of these folding e-bikes. And up front, we have Shimano hydraulic brakes. It is on a 160 millimeter rotor. Seems pretty solid for a light bike. And honestly, I don't know what these things are, but there is also one of these things on the back as well. It's got a spring on there, so I don't know, maybe this is here to protect the carbon fiber, because you definitely don't want to crack your carbon fiber. So we get a Shimano caliper on the rear, same 160 millimeter rotor, and then we just have to plug our battery in, and it looks like this is like a mounting point for a rack. I'm using this camera as a mirror right now because I need to plug that in. And here is the charger. It is a 2 amp charger. So 7 amp hour battery pack divided by 2 amp charge rate would take the battery only 3.5 hours to charge from empty to full. And when it comes time to charge the battery, there is this little guy right under the seat. So you just plug that in there. Not the typical place to charge an e-bike. So let me show you the controls. We have Shimano hydraulic brake levers. These feel nice. And rubber ergonomic grips. Here's where you change your pedal assist settings. bell, and 7 speeds on a Shimano shifter, and a reflector, which is removable. You also get a reflector on the rear, and then the screen is right here. So let's press the power button here to turn on the screen. Tezeus, is that how you say that? So it's a very small, minimalist color screen. It actually looks pretty nice. Battery readout here on top, kilometers an hour, and our pedal assist mode. You just tap these buttons. Oh, so it shows like a bigger number there. So you get 0 through 5. Press the M button. Oh, more colors. So a mighty mini screen there. And it shows us our trip, average speed, max speed, and odometer. Then let's try to hold the M button. Oh, so we can change our units. We'll go ahead and do that. Put it on miles per hour. And looks like you do a pin and a pin set. I don't want to lock myself out by accident, but let's do settings. Oh, yeah, I'm not going to do any of that yet. I don't know what the info thing does. Oh, software. So on this one, to turn on the headlight, you actually tap the power button, and that'll turn on your little light on front, and no light on the rear of this one, probably to help keep the weight down. So it is a folding electric bike, and I feel like, you know, if you're buying this bike, you're probably actually gonna fold it up. So let me show you how easy it is. I'm gonna turn the thing off. So basically you just have this little stem release thing up here. So you just kind of flip that latch, and this goes down. And most e-bikes I don't want to pick up. This one's not a problem at all. So you got this latch right here, and this kind of just comes out and folds nice and easy peasy, man. Oh, that's what that thing is down there. Now I get it. It's a magnet. Wow. Okay, so that's pretty cool, man. That's pretty cool. So one hand. Beast mode, how about that? Obviously, you probably want to drop the seat post down a bit too. Collapse the whole thing down. You could just take the seat off entirely. I'd say you could put this in a reasonable sized car, trunk of a car probably. I gotta show you this. It's actually kind of hard to show on camera, but check it out. Like, it's a magnet. You see those 2 pieces of metal I was talking about earlier? It's a magnet. So genuinely, that magnet feature thing is pretty cool, because a lot of times the problem you have with these folding e-bikes is once they're folded, they're just like flopping all over the place. This one doesn't do that, unless you unclip the magnet. Oh gosh. Ugh. Solid click and solid click. So regarding the size of this thing, I am 6'5", which they say is the maximum height. I have the seat on the minimum height. So this is just like a very light, approachable bike. Not too hard at all to step over that for me. Sitting on it, we might need to adjust that rear shock pressure. It doesn't seem to be moving at all right now. But with the seat on minimum height, here's what I'm looking like on this bike. Seating position seems comfy when it's on minimum. Now, I'm gonna raise it up to maximum height, and with the seat on maximum, according to the lines, seat comes up pretty much to the handlebars. Here's what an inseam 34 dude looks like chilling on here. Seems quite all right to get around. And I'm just noticing there is no throttle on this bike. So we're gonna have to use that torque sensor, which it is a torque sensor. Feels like a responsive torque sensor actually. And honestly, for as small as the battery is on this thing, you're probably not gonna wanna have a throttle on a bike like this, because you probably just burn through that battery so quickly. This is a pedal your bike kind of e-bike. All right, you know what time it is? Actually, real quick before we go, I'm gonna use my shock pump to adjust that PSI. So you do need a special kind of pump. You can't just use like any sort of air pump on these things. This one has like 2 chambers on it essentially. The first one screws on there, and then you have like a second chamber that presses the pin. And once that pin presses, this PSI should jump up pretty high, as I was thinking. Wow, because it was a pretty firm feeling suspension, so I think maybe we need to let some air out of that. It's at like 190, bro. And the manual doesn't say, but generally how it works is like per your weight, you adjust this. I could just feel it's like super stiff. I'm just gonna put it at like, I don't know, like that, 90 maybe. Let's see if that made a difference. Oh yeah, big time. Now we got a little bit of play. So that feels about right. It's not rocket science. All right, dudes, let's check out the Tezeus Swift. So I'm really curious to see how this 36 volt, 7 amp hour battery pack does on a bike that's actually this light. So we'll see. We're gonna check our official range on the Strava app and fire this thing up. We are on a full charge, and this is quite a bit different than the normal kind of e-bikes I review. No throttle on this thing, so let's get to it. So real quick, here's what the lights look like in here. And let's give it a rip up the 20% grade, see if it can do it. I mean, it's like 36, 37 pounds. Pedal assist 5. We have no throttle whatsoever, so we're just gonna pedal up here on gear number 1, and it's giving me full power. I'm giving it a decent amount of effort myself, and we are climbing the 20% grade, obviously with my assistance. So first impressions on this bike, it's interesting. It's really interesting. The whole rear end and like the whole bike feels like a little bit squirmy somehow. The seat's like sitting so high up, you can just feel like a little bit of flex in this whole carbon fiber frame. And having that suspension on the rear makes for a really interesting feel on this bike, because most bikes that I try that only have a single suspension, it would be a front fork suspension and not a rear air shock. So the rear air shock on this bike, I think it actually makes a lot of sense, because you know, you have a lot of your weight over the rear end of the bike, and then the carbon fiber does have some vibration absorbing properties. So having that carbon fork on there, you get a little vibration dampening. Now, since this bike is so darn light, like actually pedaling it makes a significant difference compared to a lot of the e-bikes I review on this channel. You know, the bikes that weigh 60, 70, 80, 90 pounds, like when you start getting up to like 90 pounds, it almost doesn't even matter if you're pedaling or not pedaling, because you're pretty much 100% reliant on the battery. And I mean, you could add your own 100 watts of input, but adding 100 watts of input really doesn't mean much when you have a 750 watt motor, 1000 watt motor, stuff like that. Since this is a 250 watt motor and only weighs 37 pounds, pedaling it is really gonna make a big difference. So we are on pedal assist 5 now, top gear 7, and just like naturally moving along here with this torque sensor, which does feel nice. The torque sensor gives you power in proportion to how hard you're pressing on the pedals. So the harder I press, the more power it gives me. You know, it seems like right around 11 miles an hour to 14 miles an hour is where it wants to be, and my cadence feels good at about gear 7 here. So realistically, I feel like about 15 miles an hour is gonna be our top-ish speed on this bike, which, you know, we're running a 36 volt, 7 amp hour battery pack. So if we're pushing much harder than that, honestly, our range is just gonna get decimated. So I think it can hit 20 miles an hour max. We'll give that a try in a few. Now, pedal stroke on this one at 6'5", I do have the seat on the maximum height. I'm not quite getting the full pedal stroke. So if you're 6'5" and, you know, intend on having a full pedal stroke, that might not happen for you with an inseam at 34. So in terms of comfort, other than the fact that I actually have to pedal this thing, it actually is a pretty comfortable bike. The seat feels nice, and like I said, that rear suspension, like it really just eats up like any little bumps you're gonna go over. So let's go ahead and try some of the other pedal assist modes. The screen is nice, quick and responsive, very small and minimalist, keeping it lightweight along with the bike. You can throw this thing on 0, and you know, if your battery were to die, which who knows, it might actually die today. We might not be able to do this whole ride. You can actually pedal a 37-pound bike without any motor, anything like that. A lot of these heavier bikes, like if you run out of battery, you're pretty much gonna be pushing them home or calling a tow truck, honestly. But on 0, I can hold 6 pretty easily. Let's throw it on 1. That just gives us, you know, just a bit of power here. Makes you work for it a little more than pedal assist 5. Then obviously you can just dial it up. 2 gives you more power. 3 gives you a bit more power. 4 gives you a bit more power. And we'll be riding on 5 today. So interesting that they have that rear air shock. And let's just take it off road here just a little bit. So it really does a pretty good job, honestly. Like for what it is, like if you didn't have any rear suspension riding this thing off in this kind of road, man, that's a loud motorcycle. This is a very quiet motorcycle, by the way. Yeah, so that rear suspension, it just makes a huge difference for riding off-road. Now, obviously, you're not gonna wanna be doing a lot of this kind of riding, but it does actually ride pretty good. Oh, I just wanted to go press the throttle. Man, torque sensor is super responsive. Let's not run over too much to this glass. There's glass all over the ground right here. Riding in traffic probably is a horrible idea on a bike that peaks out at 20 miles an hour. So we'll see what we can do here. All right, little bump right here, not too bad. And yeah, you really just run out of gear at about 20 miles an hour. So we are hitting 20. With a little bit of downhill, but the way the gearing is set up, you're not realistically going to be going faster than 20 on this bike, because the motor does cut out at 20. Now normally I'd be cutting across traffic, but this bike just does not have the juice to give me the confidence to do all that. Got a little bit of water here, which this bike, you know, it says that weighs 36 pounds. It probably does if you don't have the fenders on there, but the fenders will keep you dry. Oh, no brake sensors on this thing actually, which is actually a good thing in my opinion, because there's no throttle, and when the bike allows you to use brake and also pedal at the same time, that can help you get a lot more precision in your tight turns. I'll show you on the Cali incline if we make it there. So I did want to comment on the style of this bike. I think it actually looks pretty good. It has the wires all like integrated into the frame and stuff. Like even the wires up on the handlebars like run into the actual handlebars. So the cable management and the appearance of this bike is actually pretty sleek. Oh gosh, oh gosh. Let's see what happens if we hit a little speed bump here on the rear. Yeah, that's fine. So normally this is where we do a throttle only 0 to 20 acceleration run. There is no throttle on this bike, so I'm just gonna kind of pedal it starting out on gear 3 and feel that torque sensor kick in right away. And yeah, we're getting up to 15 and 16, and you really gotta start working for it. And 18, 19. So a little headwind there. You got to work for it to get to 20 on this thing, man. Is that a carbon fiber frame?
Yeah.
Oh, nice. It's a very nice looking bike. I like it.
You know what? The bike's great. The engine needs to be replaced.
Yeah.
Getting a little old.
Enjoy your ride. She's got the carbon fiber bike. Carbon wheels on that thing, man. I think those wheels probably cost as much as this entire bike. The zips. So another thing about that lack of suspension on the front, these ergonomic rubber grips really help make up for that as well. I can tell it's, you know, taking up a lot of the road vibration and actually making this thing fairly comfortable to ride, other than the fact that I actually have to pedal. So one thing about this bike we definitely don't have to worry about is the pulleys. This thing probably meets the legal requirements just about anywhere for electric bicycles. And even though this might not be like the fastest electric bike ever, it's faster than non-motorized bikes. Pretty light and nimble too. You can kind of just dart around here. So riding this thing out on the street in traffic doesn't really feel quite at home. But once you get it on a path like this is where it really makes a lot of sense. Now, of course, since I'm an idiot, I just have to try it on the sand here. Tires are just not wide enough. Don't ride this thing on the sand, bro. You're gonna get hurt. But it's light enough that you can just kind of pull it up the hill, no problem, get through where you need to. I wanna try this suspension out on this particularly harsh riding area here. It gets real bumpy here. That air shock on the rear where all of my weight is sitting. Feels fine, man. Some bikes are pretty freaking harsh going over that. Now, normally I like to do a little pop a wheelie kind of thing here. There's no throttle on it, so I just got to kind of lift it up, I guess, but it does kind of show you the lightweight nimbleness of this bike. Most bikes I do not want to lift off the ground, period. This one's fine, bro. Totally fine. Very lightweight, approachable. So a bike like this definitely helps keep you at some safer speeds. A lot of these bikes I'm on, I'm going way faster than this average pace, but still, as mentioned, faster than the normal non-motorized bikes. The beach cruisers anyway. See what I'm talking about? So, can it conquer the California incline, 12% grade? We're gonna climb 85 feet. Typically, you know, it's a question of how fast are we gonna do it. This is the first bike in a while that this might actually be a challenge for. All right, so hitting the spiral section, we'll downshift a couple gears here, carry a little bit of speed into it, and with the torque sensor on pedal assist 5, gives us power in proportion to how hard we're pressing on the pedals, and losing a little bit of speed here, holding about 4, definitely putting in my own effort, but it's pulling us up just fine, 6 miles an hour. You're gonna have to pedal a little bit to get up hills, but easier than not having any motor at all. I've ridden bikes up there with no motor, so let's give it a start from the base here. Those guys have throttles, and get rolling along here on gear 1. So yeah, this is like way easier than riding a bike up this hill with no motor at all. Oftentimes, yeah, we're on gear 2 now. Oftentimes I see cyclists just give up riding their bike up this hill because it's actually pretty challenging. But you know, just helping it out a bit here. Not really help, you know, I might be doing about 75 watts of power of my own. The bike outputs 250 watts, right? So I can pull us up. Now, obviously we're not hitting any sort of blazing speeds, but the controller is still providing power. How much? I don't know exactly because it doesn't show us, but getting a bit of exercise here, pulling about 8 miles an hour at the top. And that's gonna take a bit of a toll on our battery because the battery and motor definitely helped us out a lot there. If you're new here, you might not know we were just down there, which is pretty big climb. So one thing that is kind of overpowered on this bike, in my opinion, is the brakes. It has these nice feeling hydraulic Shimano brakes with decently large rotors considering the weight and size of the wheels on this thing. So going downhill, it cuts us off right at 20. You can pedal a little faster, but truthfully, just you don't need to be going faster than 20 on this bike. But when it comes time to stop, this thing has plenty of bite on the brakes, and they feel really smooth because they're hydraulics. And then the other thing I was going to talk about, it doesn't have brake cutoff sensors, so going around turns you can pull on the brakes and kind of restrict, you know, the direction. It restricts your bike, but you can still pedal and it'll keep putting down power. And on a bike that's not like really powerful and also doesn't have a throttle, I think that's a great feature because it can kind of be annoying on a low power bike that you actually have to pedal. Your power is kind of cutting in and out when you're pulling on your brake levers. This allows you to kind of have like a really fine-tuned, precise control when you're going around a turn. So let's get this thing up to healthy speed, about 17, and give these brakes a hard pull. Yeah, man, I like these brakes. Super lightweight bike. Perfection on the brakes. All right, bros, we're sitting at about 2 out of 5 battery bars. Let's see if we can make it home on this thing. I'll share my final thoughts along the way. So if you're interested in the price of this, check the link below the video. Click on that link, it'll take you over to the company website. And if you do decide to buy one of these, if you use that link, it would help support my reviews here on Tail Heavy TV. And of course, I greatly appreciate your support. So my final thoughts on this thing, I mean, obviously the real benefit of this is if you're looking for something lightweight and foldable that you can, like, you know, throw in the back of your car, or you need to conserve space inside of your living space, and you need something, you know, maneuverable that you can pick up, move around, throw in a car. That's really where the benefit of something like this comes in. Now, if you're looking for something that's going to be extremely long range, that you're also going to be able to get some pretty good speeds out of, it probably isn't going to be your number one option. It is 36 volt system, relatively small battery. Obviously, to keep things light, it is actually pretty comfortable to be on. So I like the rear suspension, as mentioned, and the carbon fiber helps eat up some of that chatter in the road while also keeping the bike light too. No throttle, so I mean, if you don't want a throttle, if you want to get exercise, this is definitely one way to go about doing that. The torque sensor is really responsive, and I really love the way that this thing actually just feels like the good old days of riding a bicycle. I used to ride bikes out here all the time before I got into e-bikes, and this kind of just reminds me of that a little bit, man. Obviously, this is not as light as a actual bicycle that weighs more like 20 pounds, but you know, it makes your ride a lot easier, and you can still get exercise. So pretty cool little bike from Tezeus, the Swift carbon fiber. If you want to grab one, use that link below. Support your boy. However, let's see if we have enough range in this thing to make it home. Oh no, battery is showing 1 bar remaining and we still have a while to go. All right, bro, just rolling back into the neighborhood. Let's talk about range. So actually, I pedaled the entire ride today. It's still showing 1 bar remaining. So, you know, it's got some left on there, but not a ton. And we just crossed over 16 miles, averaging 10.5 miles an hour. So obviously a little bit slower than usual. Took us an hour and 31 minutes to complete today's ride. So battery, you know, the size is about 252 watt hours. If you push this motor to the max for 1 hour, that would drain the battery to zero, because 250 watts times 1 hour, 250 watt hours. Obviously you could go slower than I went today, maximize your range, get the claimed max range. This is just, you know, what I'm doing at a leisurely effort here at a 200-pound rider. If you weigh less, you try harder. If you go slower, you could get more range. And like I said, the battery's not completely dead. I kind of thought it was gonna die, but it did not. It still has juice. So if you're looking for something light and foldable, this is really the recipe, man. carbon fiber, small battery, 36-volt system, doesn't go outrageously fast. It's really the only way you can get lightweight and electric bike power. So it's good to help you on hills, good to help you get around, good to load into cars. If you want to grab one of these Tezeus Swifts, click that link down below the video, buy it through that link. It would help support my reviews and get you the best price. However, if this is not the kind of electric bicycle you're looking for, watch this video, bro. Catch you over there.